At first, everything looked normal. His ceiling, his fan, the sunlight from the window, but something didn't feel right. There was a strange smell in the air, like burnt cinnamon mixed with metal. Then he felt weight on his chest. He looked. Down and froze. Sitting on top of him was a girl, but not a normal girl. Her skin was shiny and silver like polished metal. Her eyes were big, glowing light blue. Her hair looked like thin wires moving slowly, like they were alive. James gasped. What the hell? The alien girl blinked. She tilted her head like a curious cat. You're not supposed to be awake during scan mode, she said calmly. James tried to move, but her knees were still pressing into his sides. Get off me! Who are you? What are you doing in my house? I am Zura, assigned Class 5 housekeeper from Zarnuk's cleaning services, she replied as if it was normal. Housekeeper? What? James stammered. I didn't order a housekeeper. Especially not an alien. Zura blinked again. You signed the contract last night, fingerprint verified. I was asleep all night. Without saying anything, she pulled out a glowing device from her belt. A small screen appeared in the air. James saw his fingerprint on it next to some alien language he didn't understand. That's impossible, he whispered. That's not real. This is a dream. No, she replied simply. This is Earth Sector 4D, Planet Earth. You are human male James Carter. Age, 27. Occupation, part-time web designer. Full-time snack eater. James blinked. Hey, she stood up. Slowly, stepping off him, he sat up, rubbing his face. Okay, let's start over. Where are you from? She replied, Zarnuk's 9, Galactic Dust Management Zone. James looked around his room. Everything looked normal. His posters, his clothes on the floor, his empty chips bag on the desk. But there was also something new, a glowing silver box, floating in the corner. It was silently vacuuming dust from the air. What is that? He asked. Your air cleaner? I already removed 47% of toxic particles. James looked confused. How long have you been here? Since last night I arrived through portal. You were snoring. James stood up and looked out the window. Everything outside looked normal. The street, the neighbors, a kid riding a bike, no aliens, no spaceships. He turned back. Okay, I don't know who you are or where you're from, but I want you to leave. Zura frowned. I cannot. Contract is binding for 7 Earth days. What contract? You accepted the free trial with your fingerprint. It's already sent to the system. James shook his head. I didn't agree to anything. Zura looked at the screen again. She zoomed in on the memory logs. She said, confused. Wait, this isn't the correct location. What do you mean? This is not Sector 19, she whispered. This isn't the ship. James froze. Ship? Zura started scanning the room with her wristband. A red light moved across the walls, furniture, even James. She looked more and more nervous with each second. This is wrong. This house isn't supposed to be on the ship, but the energy signature matches portal data. Hold on, James said. Are you saying my house is not supposed to be here? Zura didn't answer. She walked to the window and looked outside. Then she went silent. Her voice turned serious. The portal is still open. What portal? She pointed at the corner of the room. There was a faint shimmer in the air like heat waves, but shaped like a circle. James had never noticed it before. I left it open by mistake, she whispered. Something might have followed me through. James took a step back. Something? What kind of something? Zura turned to face him. Her glowing eyes were wide asterisk. James stared at the glowing shimmer in the corner of his room. It looked like air trapped inside a bubble, shaking slightly, almost invisible. But now that Zura pointed it out, he couldn't look away. It pulsed every few seconds like it was breathing. That's the portal? He asked quietly. Zura nodded. Yes, I opened it to enter this world, but I forgot to close it. James stepped closer, then stopped. The air near the portal felt colder. He felt goosebumps on his arms. So you think something followed you? Zura's voice was serious. I don't think I know. James looked at her. She wasn't smiling anymore. Her calm robotic face now looked tense. What could follow you? Zura turned off her scanning. Banned, many things live between the stars. Not all are friendly. James backed away from the portal. Well, how do we close it? Zura pressed a button on her wrist. A red light blinked. Nothing happened. Her eyes narrowed. Error, there is interference. Interference from what? She looked toward the hallway outside James's room. From inside this house? James blinked. Inside my house? Before Zura could reply, the bedroom lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the whole room went dark. James froze. Is this normal? Zura didn't answer. Her hand reached for a glowing disc on her belt. It lit up, casting a soft blue light. We're not alone anymore, she whispered. A strange sound echoed from the hallway, like claws sliding across. Wood, slowly, scratching, waiting. James's mouth went dry. Is it in the house? Zura motioned for him to stay quiet. She moved toward the door, light in one hand, her other hand glowing with energy. James whispered, Do you have a weapon? She replied, Just cleaning tools, but some can be used. Aggressively, another sound came, this time closer. The doorknob moved. Zura jumped to the side. James backed against the wall, heart pounding. Then the door creaked open, but no one was there. The hallway was dark, except for a faint green glow coming from the living room. Zura stepped out first. James followed, his footsteps shaking. They moved slowly down the hallway. James tried not to breathe too loud. He whispered, Maybe it left? Zura shook her head. It's here. It's hiding. As they entered the living room, James saw something strange. His TV was on, but showing static. And in the middle of the room, the coffee table was broken in half. Something heavy had landed on it. Zura walked to the window. It was wide open. I didn't open this, James said. Zura scanned the room. Neither did I. Then she paused. Wait, what? She pointed to the floor. Black liquid, thick and shiny. Like oil, but darker. It's trail, she said. Whatever it is, it's bleeding. James felt his stomach turn. So it's injured? Zura nodded. Maybe, but that makes it more dangerous. Suddenly, something banged in the kitchen. Zura ran forward. James hesitated, then followed. The kitchen was empty, but the fridge door was wide open. Food was all over the floor, milk, cheese, half a watermelon smashed, and more of the black liquid. Zura leaned down, touched it, then quickly pulled her hand back. It's hot, almost burning. Then James saw its scratch marks on the wall, deep and long, like something had claws. What kind of alien leaves claw marks? He asked. Zura looked up slowly. Not alien, interdimensional. James blinked. I don't even know what that means. Zura replied, It means it doesn't belong in any world. It lives between. Suddenly, a loud hiss echoed through the room. They turned toward the sound coming from behind the kitchen door. Zura raised her glowing disc. The door creaked open, and there it was, a tall shadow, thin and bent, with long arms and glowing green eyes. Its skin looked like smoke, always moving. It hissed again, stepping forward. James stepped back. Nope, I'm out. Zura stood her ground. Stay behind me. The creature growled, and Zura threw her disc. It hit the creature's chest, sending a burst of blue energy. The creature screamed, a horrible, high-pitched sound, then jumped out the window and disappeared into the night. Everything went quiet. James slowly peeked outside. Nothing there, just the street. Normal again. Zura walked over and picked up her disc. It's gone for now. James asked, What was that thing? She looked him in the eyes. A stowaway. It came through the portal. Because I was careless. Is it coming back? Maybe. If we don't close the portal soon, more will come. James sat on the floor, shaking. This is the worst Monday of my life. Zura placed a hand on his shoulder. It's only the beginning. James didn't sleep that night. How could he? There was an alien in his house, a portal in his bedroom, and a smoky, green-eyed monster had just jumped out his window. He sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, like a burrito. Zura, the silver-skinned housekeeper, stood by the window, scanning the streets with her glowing wristband. So, James said finally, Do you do this in every house you clean? Zura didn't smile. This is not normal. My job is to sanitize, repair, and organize, not fight interdimensional monsters. Glad we agree, James mumbled. So, what now? Refine the glitch, she replied. James raised an eyebrow. What glitch? Zura turned to him. Something is wrong with your memory. I think this house may not be real, James stared. Okay, now you're just making stuff up. She walked to the middle of the room and placed a silver sphere on the floor. It opened like a flower and floated into the air. Blue light spread in all directions, scanning the room. I ran a full scan of this home, she said. Most of it is real, but part of it is synthetic. James stood up slowly. Synthetic, like fake? Yes, she said. It's copying your memories, building around them. James looked around at the room, his posters, his couch, his coffee stains. This looks like my house. Yes, but when did you move in? James opened his mouth, then stopped. I moved in, He frowned. His mind felt fuzzy. A year ago? What month? She asked calmly. James blinked. October or maybe February? Zura nodded. Your memory is corrupted. No way, I remember things. Okay, she said. What color is your neighbor's car? James smirked. Easy. Blue or green, maybe red? Zura looked at him. You've lived here for a year and you don't know? James sat down again. Okay, this is creepy. Zura touched her wristband. A small screen popped up, showing a glowing map of the house. Half of it was blue. The other half was red and flickering. The red zones are unstable, she said. Fake structures built by the glitch. We must find the source. James rubbed his forehead. Wait, so you're saying my brain is being hacked? More like rewritten, Zura replied. Not by me, something else. Then she paused. Her eyes widened. What now? James asked. The glitch is moving. Suddenly a loud thump came from upstairs. James jumped. That's my room. Zura grabbed her energy disk. Stay here. No way. James stood up. I'm not staying alone. Together they climbed the stairs slowly. The hallway felt colder. Lights flickered again. When they reached the door to James's room, Zura stopped. She turned to him. Be prepared. What you see might not be real. James took a deep breath. I'm never prepared anymore. Zura opened the door. At first, everything looked normal. His bed, his desk, the floating air cleaner in the corner. But then James noticed something strange, the poster on the wall. It had changed. It used to be a superhero poster. Now it showed a red moon with black symbols. What? James walked closer. Then the wall behind the poster rippled like water. He reached out to touch it. Zura shouted, Don't! Too late. James's fingers touched the wall, and his mind exploded with images. Memories that weren't his. Alien worlds, warped creatures, a metal city in the sky. A silver tower with green smoke pouring from the top? Voices speaking in broken English. Repeating one phrase, the cleaner has arrived. James gasped and stumbled backward, falling onto the floor. Zura rushed over. Are you okay? James looked up, eyes wide. I saw things. I saw a world that doesn't exist. Or maybe I've been there. Zura helped him up. Your memory is linked to the portal. I think the creature we saw is trying to connect with you. Why me? I'm just a guy who plays video games and eats cold pizza. Zura looked at the rippling wall. Because you opened the portal. James froze. No, you opened it. Zura shook her head. My portal was small, just enough for me to enter, but you expanded it before I arrived. That's how the creature slipped through. James grabbed his head. I don't remember doing that. Exactly, she said. The glitch erased the memory. Suddenly, the light in the room turned red. The silver sphere floating behind them started beeping. What's happening? James asked. Zura's voice dropped. Something is coming through again. From the wall, black lines spread like cracks. The ripples turned into a swirling vortex. James stepped back. Nope, not again. A whisper came from the vortex, low, broken. James? Come back. Zura stood in front of him. You must not answer. But James stared at the wall. The voice. It sounded like his mother. My mom's been dead for 5 years, he said. The voice whispered again. James, help me. James stood frozen. The voice coming from the wall wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was soft, sad, familiar. James, help me. He shook his head slowly. That's not real. That can't be real. Zura's glowing hand reached toward him. Do not listen to it. James looked at her, his eyes wide with fear. That was my mom's voice. Exactly her voice. The glitch is using your memories, she said calmly. It can copy sound, emotion, even pain. But how does it know her? James whispered. She died 5 years ago, in a car crash. I never told anyone what her voice sounded like. Zura pointed to the glowing portal wall. Because it's inside your thoughts now. That's what it feeds on. Memory, emotion, weak spots. The whisper returned, louder this time. James, it's me. Don't you remember the song I used to sing? And then softly the voice began to hum. James's eyes filled with tears. No one knows that song. She made it up when I was a kid. He took a step forward. Zura stepped in front of him. Stop. James's voice cracked. What if it's her? What if she's trapped in there? Zura looked him in the eyes. She's not. I'm sorry. That song, that voice. It's not her. It's bait. James clenched his fists. Then what is it? Zura paused. It's called a memory leech, a being from the void between worlds. It finds open minds, lonely minds, then it pulls them in. The voice changed. No longer soft. No longer sweet. Now it sounded broken, corrupted. He remembers. He belongs. Bring him back. Zura raised her energy disk. Step back now. The wall began to pulse fast and angry. Black liquid leaked from its edges. A long, thin arm made of shadows reached out. James stumbled back. The air grew thick, heavy, like breathing fog. Zura threw the disk at the wall. It exploded in blue light, pushing the shadow arm back. The wall screamed, not a sound, a feeling, like nails inside the brain. The wall flickered, then calmed. The arm vanished. Zura retrieved her disk. It's weak now, she said, but not gone. James sat down on the floor, shaking. That thing knew everything, my mom's voice. The song, even the way she cried sometimes. Zura looked at him carefully. You miss her, James nodded. Every day. Zura tilted her head. You have strong emotion. That's why it chose you? You're easier to connect with than others. James looked up. You mean it's my fault? No, she said. But it's using your pain like a key. James buried his face in his hands. This is too much. First you fall from a space portal, then a monster breaks my window, and now my dead mom is calling from a magic wall. This is a terrible week. Zura sat beside him. I understand. I once had a caretaker program fail on my planet. It called me by my old friend's name. I almost believed it. James blinked. You have emotions? I'm part organic, she said. I remember pain. But I choose logic? They sat in silence for a moment, then Zura stood. We must act fast. The portal is growing. And your house is slowly turning into an illusion. James stood slowly. How do we stop it? Zura opened her wristband. We need to lock the portal from both sides. One here, one inside. Inside? James frowned. Inside what? She looked at the wall. Inside the false world it created. The illusion based on your memories. James stared at her. You want me to go in there? No, I'll go, Zura said. But I need something from you. James blinked. What? A core memory? A true one? Something it can't fake? James thought for a moment, then walked to his drawer and pulled out a tiny music box. It was shaped like a star, old and scratched. This was hers, he whispered. My mom's, she gave it to me when I was 5, still works. He turned the key. The same soft tune played, the one from the portal, but this one was real. Zura held out her hand. Perfect. That will help me stay focused. She took the music box and attached it to her belt. Then she turned to the wall. If I don't return in 10 minutes, she said, seal the room. Don't open the portal again. James grabbed her arm. Wait. Zura turned to him. Be careful, he said quietly. She gave a small nod. I always am. Then she stepped into the wall and vanished. The wall rippled once. Then still James stood alone in the room, watching the silence. Returned until the music box stopped playing. Zura stepped through the wall of light and everything changed. For one long moment she felt nothing, no sound, no body. Only floating then her feet touched. Solid ground. She opened her eyes. She was standing in a house, but not James's house. It looked similar, but cleaner, brighter. The couch was new. The walls had fresh paint. A soft song played from the corner. It was the same melody from the music box. Zura reached for her belt. The music box was still there, still glowing gently. Good? She whispered. The memory is still stable. She walked through the living room. Everything looked too perfect. Not a single thing was out of place. Not even a speck of dust. And that was the first sign something was wrong. James's real house was messy. Socks on the floor, cups half full. Crumbs on every surface. But this place? This wasn't real. This was the version James wished it was. Zura touched her wristband. Still working, she said softly. A small hologram popped up, showing a red dot moving slowly. That's the core, she said. Where the false world is powered from? She followed the signal into the hallway. The house seemed to grow. Longer as she walked, the doors stretched. The shadows deepened. Something was trying to confuse her. She reached a bedroom door. It had James's name on it written in a child's handwriting. Zura opened it slowly. Inside was a boy, young James. No older than 6, sitting on the floor, building a toy rocket. He looked up and smiled. Hi, he said. Zura blinked. This wasn't what she expected. You're not real, she said. The boy laughed. I'm just a memory. I need to reach the core, she told him. Where is it? The boy pointed to the closet. In there. But be careful. It doesn't like visitors. Zura nodded. Thanks. She walked to the closet door. Her hand hovered above the handle. Behind her, the boy said, If you see my mom, tell her I miss her. Zura paused. That line, it was too real. Too sincere. Turned, but the room was empty. No boy. No toys, just shadows. The illusion was shifting. Zura opened the closet. Inside was a spiral staircase, going down far deeper than any house should allow. She took a breath and stepped inside. Each step echoed, like she was walking through a cave. The light from her belt flickered, but the music box still glowed. Finally, she reached the bottom, and there it was, a wide, open space with no walls. Just floating pieces of furniture, memories, lights, and voices. James's memories floating. Like clouds. In the middle was the core. A black sphere surrounded by tendrils of shadow, like roots of a dying tree. The sphere pulsed slowly, and with each beat more of James's memories were pulled in. A floating voice whispered, He wants her back. He misses her. We can give her to him. Zura stepped forward. No, you're feeding on his pain. That's not love. That's control, the shadows hissed. He opened the door. He let us in. He belongs to us. Zura pulled the music box from her belt. But this memory is real. This can break your illusion. The shadows stopped. The black sphere began to shake. No, not the core memory. Not the truth. Zura placed the music box on the ground. She turned the key. The soft melody played and everything began to shift. The shadows screamed. The room flickered. The floating memories started changing, showing not just happy times, but sad ones, honest ones. Real ones. James falling off his bike, crying when his mom left for work. Sitting alone in a school lunchroom, the illusion couldn't handle the truth. Zura reached for her wristband. Now or never. She fired a blue beam into the core. It cracked. The shadows screamed again, louder this time. The voices turned to angry roars. You will forget? You will break? You will stay. Zura stepped back. The black sphere exploded. Into light, the shadows vanished. The music stopped. Everything went still. Then, silence. A white light surrounded her. Gentle and warm, Zura closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she was back in James's bedroom. She fell to her knees. breathing hard. The wall portal was gone. James rushed in. "You're back!" I heard. The music stopped then, everything just froze. Zura stood slowly. "It's over, the core was destroyed." James looked around. "My house feels normal again." Zura nodded. "Because it is. No more illusion." "No more false world?" James looked at her. "You went into my mind? Saw my memories, didn't you?" Zura paused, then said softly, "I saw the real you." James smiled a little. "That's kinda scary," she smiled back. "Not really. It means you're still human." Asterisk, the next morning, the sky outside James's house looked normal. Birds flew. Cars passed. A dog barked, but James didn't feel normal at all. He sat on the couch, staring at the music box. It was still scratched and old, but it had saved him. Somehow, something so small had broken a whole world of lies. Zura stood near the kitchen, repairing her wristband with small silver tools. "I still can't believe it's over," James said. "The monster, the fake house." The voice that sounded like my mom. Zura looked up. "It's not over, just quiet, for now." James raised an eyebrow. "That doesn't sound comforting." She answered flatly, "It's not meant to be." Before James could respond, a soft ding echoed through the house. It was the doorbell. James stood. "Who's ringing the doorbell at 8 a.m.? Zura's eyes narrowed. "Stay here." James followed anyway. Zura opened the door slowly. A young woman stood outside. She was wearing a clean gray suit, holding a silver briefcase. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes, bright green, looked too perfect, too sharp. She smiled. "Good morning," she said cheerfully. "I'm from the Agency of Dimensional Repair and Regulation. We're here about the recent portal breach at this location." James blinked. "You're with what agency?" She held up a badge. The letters shifted and shimmered. Somehow, James couldn't read them. Zura stepped forward. "No one was supposed to know about this breach." The woman nodded. "Yes, that's why we're here, to clean up the memory traces, adjust reality levels, and confirm containment." James frowned. "Wait, are you like interdimensional police?" The woman laughed softly. "You could say that." Zura wasn't smiling. "I didn't call for backup." "You didn't need to," the woman said. "We monitor everything. Once your core damaged the false world, our system picked it up." James looked at her briefcase. "So, what's in there?" The woman smiled again. "Just some tools to patch time-space errors, also paperwork." James groaned. "Even across dimensions, there's still paperwork." She stepped inside without asking. Her eyes scanned everything quickly, like a machine behind a human mask. "Interesting," she muttered. "Residual memory fog. But the emotional core stayed intact. That's rare." Zura narrowed her eyes. "Cut to the point. Why are you really here?" The woman looked at her. "Because you weren't supposed to engage with the subject, Zura. Your assignment was basic cleaning, not full memory conflict." James's mouth dropped open. "Wait, how do you know her name?" "We created her," the woman said calmly. "Well, not me personally. But my division designed the Zura-class caretaker bots. You're one of the early ones, aren't you?" Zura stepped back. Her face, usually calm, looked shocked. "You abandoned our model line 3 cycles ago?" She said. "Said we were too human." The woman smiled coldly. "And yet here you are, still making emotional decisions." James stepped between them. "Okay, I don't understand half of this, but I do understand being talked about like I'm furniture." "What's happening?" The woman turned to him. "You, James, were not the main problem. The real issue is what came through with the portal. The entity you encountered was not just a leech, it was a seeker." Zura's eyes widened. "That changes everything." James looked between them. "What's a seeker?" The woman opened her briefcase and pulled out a small black orb. "A seeker is a being that hunts minds strong enough to rewrite their own realities. You, James, are a rare type. You don't just remember, you reshape." James laughed nervously. "I can barely cook pasta." "How am I reshaping reality? Your emotions are powerful," she said. "Your grief, your loneliness. You didn't just accept the portal, you invited it. You wanted your mother back, so..." Badly, the seeker took form using her image. James sat down. So it's my fault again? No, Zura said, her voice softer. It just means you're more human than most. The woman placed the orb on the floor. It lit up. This will wipe all remaining traces of the seeker, she said. And it will remove the last of your memory of this incident. James jumped up. Wait, what? You're going to erase my memory? The woman nodded. Standard protocol. Too much exposure causes permanent instability. You'll go back to your life. Peaceful, boring, safe. James looked at Zura. You knew this would happen? She didn't answer. The orb pulsed. Zura stepped forward. I want to file a formal objection. The woman raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? I believe James should keep his memory, Zura said. He fought back. He faced pain. And he deserves to remember what he survived. The woman sighed. You're still emotional. You never learned. Then she turned to James. It's your choice. James looked at the orb. Then at Zura, he took a deep breath. I want to remember, he said. The woman shrugged. Fine. But don't blame us if your life gets strange? She closed her briefcase and walked to the door. She left. She looked back. One more thing, she said. The seeker is gone, but not dead. Then she was gone. James looked at Zura. What? Does she mean not dead? Zura answered quietly. It means we're not finished yet. James couldn't sleep that night. Again. He sat on the edge of his bed staring at the music box. It wasn't glowing anymore. Just quiet now, still, but to him it felt like it was still breathing. Like it still remembered. Zura stood at the window, watching the stars through the glass. Do you think she's coming back? James asked softly. Zura didn't turn. If she does, it won't be as your mother this time. James nodded. Right? No tricks, no songs? The silence between them was heavy, not uncomfortable, just full of meaning. They had survived something together. Something no one else would ever understand. You know, James said, part of me kind of misses the illusion. Zura looked at him now. Because it felt safe? No, James said, shaking his head. Because for a few minutes I believed she was still alive. Zura walked over and sat beside him. Grief is powerful. That's why the seeker chose you. Your memories are louder than most, James sighed. I just wish I could have said goodbye. Zura placed a small silver chip in his hand. Maybe you still can. He looked at it. What is this? Memory echo. I captured a small piece of the seeker's illusion. The real part, before it twisted everything. James looked surprised. You saved part of my memory? Zura nodded. Just one, but it's pure, untouched by the false world. James held the chip tightly. Can I see it? She tapped her wristband. A soft glow surrounded them, and suddenly they were in a field. The sky was pink. The grass moved like waves. Trees stood tall with silver leaves. And in the center, a small boy, young James, ran toward a woman sitting under a tree. His mother, she, was laughing, alive, real. James watched in silence as the boy hugged her. As she sang the soft tune, as the sun set behind them. Zura spoke gently. This is not an illusion, it's a memory, your memory. The one the seeker found first. James nodded slowly, tears filling his eyes. Thank you, he whispered. The scene faded. They were back in the room. James looked at the chip. Can I keep it? Zura smiled softly. It's yours. It always was. A knock came at the window. Not the door, the window. James stood quickly. Zura was already alert, scanning. The knock came again. 3 taps, slow, heavy. Zura pulled out her energy disk. Stay back. James peeked through the curtain. No one was there. Just the street, quiet and still. Then he saw it, a mark burned into the glass, a symbol. A circle with a jagged line through it. Zura looked at it too. That's the seeker's sign, she whispered. James stepped back. But I thought it was gone. Zura shook her head. The woman said it wasn't dead. James looked confused. What does it want now? Zura turned to him. I think it's not after your memories anymore. He blinked. Then what? She paused. It wants mine. Before James could speak, her body glitched. Just for a second. A flicker of static across her skin, he gasped. Zira, are you okay? She didn't answer. Another flicker, her glowing eyes dimmed slightly. She stood still, frozen. James rushed over. Hey, stay with me. Her voice came back, low and slow. It's inside the code. James looked at her wristband. The screen was filled with symbols moving fast, like a virus. The Seeker infected you? He said. Zira nodded weakly. It hid inside the false world. Waited. Now. It's trying to rewrite me. James didn't think. He grabbed the music box and opened it. The melody began to play soft and real. Zira blinked. Her eyes glowed brighter again. The virus slowed. Focus on the sound, James shouted. Remember the memory, not the code. Zira reached for the chip in his hand and held it close to her chest. The symbols faded from her wristband. Her body stopped flickering. She breathed out slowly. It's gone, she said. For now. James sat down, heart racing. That thing is like a bad dream that keeps coming back. Zira looked at him. It's not done with us? James sighed. Then we fight together. Zira smiled. That was not part of my original programming, but I agree. James looked at her. You're more than programming now. They sat in silence for a while. Then James asked, So what happens next? Zira stood. We prepare. There are others like the Seeker, lost between worlds, waiting for open minds. James looked out the window. The sky was still quiet, but somewhere, something was watching and for the first time, James wasn't afraid. He had Zira, and he had his real memories.